Sometimes when you're giving a presentation, either on a stage or in a boardroom, you might feel awkward, which is completely normal. You might think, should I sit? Should I stand? Should I walk around? We've got tips for you on how to stop feeling awkward and instead feel more confident. Plus, you can go to 50speakertips.com for more. Enjoy. One of the things that you may have noticed by listening to me is that my speech tends to drive forward. My body language tends to drive forward. And not every moment of every performance requires a forward movement, but for the most part, when you're speaking, we want to keep the action moving forward. So, if our language drops down each time we finish a sentence, then what's going to happen is the audience falls into this cycle of being lulled deeper and deeper and deeper, rather than being moved forward. So if our body language moves forward, if our verbal expression moves forward, as a result, it tends to be much more energized and engaged. The same thing is true physically. So if I'm back on my heels, very flat, then I don't look like I have much substance, much gravitas, and it looks kind of weak, and I'm moving backwards, even if it's subtle. But if my body is moving forward in some way, I'm not asking you to imitate the way I move. We would never imitate the way anyone else moves. We want to find our own style and amplify it. I just want you to think about the importance of the forward progression of your ideas, of your voice, and of your body. And you'll create more energy as a result. Not because you're producing all sorts of fake energy, but because your ideas are driving forward. And there's energy behind those ideas, and that's what progresses them forward. So physically, forward. Vocally, forward. Intellectually, forward. Keep driving forward. It's a big part of what our job is as performers, is to move action forward. When you deliver a big idea or a crucial concept, stand and land it. Because if you are moving while you introduce a big idea or a crucial component of your message, then it often gets lost. So if I'm walking, my big idea is this, my big idea is this, my big idea is this, it doesn't seem to be a big idea because you're wandering around. But if you're moving and you're moving and you're moving and you're moving, and then all of a sudden, when it comes time to share that big idea, boom, you land it, and you're still and connected, it will have more gravitas. It will have more substance to it. So stand and land your big ideas. Because you can move and talk at the same time. That's perfectly fine. People do it all the time in real life, so you can do it on stage. But we just don't want to be moving on top of the really important ideas that we need them to consume and that we need them to know those are the big ideas. So you stage your speeches or your presentations in such a way that the big ideas get the space, the time, and the substantial connection with the audience that they deserve. So stand and land your big ideas rather than wandering around while you share them. You can move and talk at the same time while giving a presentation. Because you do it in real life, you can move and talk at the same time. So the stage should represent real life. However, we don't want to move and talk on our big ideas, on the things that really matter. We want to stand and land those. But often we will use movement for our transitions. But then when we get to that new location, we land our big idea. Or we'll use movement for our transitions over here, and then we land that big idea. And if the idea is a very, very big idea, generally you want to land it center stage so that it fills the whole platform. Because if your big idea is delivered from over here, Well, there's some imbalance. One side of the audience is far from you, one part of the audience is very close to you. So what we're looking to do is make sure that our big ideas land center stage, and yes, we can talk and move at the same time as long as we're not wandering around when we're talking. So that every single time we move, we know why we're moving, where we're moving, and when we're moving. Why, where, and when. So that our big ideas get the focus that they deserve. We work with speakers at all levels. People who have never given a speech and it's their first time, all the way up to the keynoters at the highest level of the professional circuit. And across the board, the area that all of these people generally rank themselves the lowest in is staging and blocking, meaning how you move on the stage. Generally, the way people move on the stage is completely random. It's often not aligned with what they have to say. Usually we're just pacing around. And if you do too much pacing, of course, it starts to become a distraction to the audience, and then everything starts to seem like it's the same thing because my body is doing the same thing throughout. So this is not going to help you get a message across. But if you can tie your movement to your language in a way that helps illustrate the language, to help demonstrate the concepts, well, then you're often much more effective. For example, we were working with a speaker who was quoting an author, and he said something to the effect of, "The only way out is through." Well, he's going backwards. He's going backwards. It doesn't actually match up with what he's saying. So it becomes much more powerful if he says, well, the only way out is through. And if you're on a very, very big stage, you can make a more dramatic cross forward. But even small movements like that are going to change the experience the audience has, because they will start to feel your messages, not just hear your messages. We also want to stay open to the audience as much as we can. So if I'm moving to this side, I don't stay with my back toward the left side of the audience. That's house left, stage right. This is stage left, and that's house right. I would instead stay open this way so that they can also experience me when I'm talking to somebody over here. And if I move over here, I might stay open this way so that everybody can experience me in that particular space. And so there is so much more that we need to do on your blocking and your staging. If we just right now understand that we should only move when we know why we're moving, we know where we're moving, and we know when we're moving. Why, where, and when. If we don't know why we're moving, if we don't know when we're moving, and if we don't know where we're moving, then we should probably stay in the same place. But through rehearsal is where you block and stage the whole performance so that you know where you're going to go, when you're going to go, and why you're going to go. So stage blocking is something that you might not even realize is as powerful as it is if you have not yet experienced how it affects your audience when you're speaking. But when you do, you'll never go back. It will change the way you think about any kind of presentation on a stage or in a boardroom. Because everything we do when we're speaking to an audience or a small group of people or even one person should be a choice, because it tells them something about you, and it tells them something about how you want them to think or feel or what you want them to do. So I encourage you to start to focus on staging and blocking your presentations, even if you're in a small room, and especially if you're on a big stage. One of the questions we often get is, how do I enter the stage? Not like this. Okay, let's get started. Because they can see you walking out, and if they don't think that you are acknowledging them, then they feel that you're uncomfortable, which is why you wouldn't acknowledge them when you came out. If you just walk this way, and then they're there, it's a little awkward. So when you come out, make sure that you've designed your speech in such a way that you can engage with the audience right away. And you see, I came out here at an angle rather than parallel to the stage. So angular movement on stage is generally more effective visually for an audience than very flat movement that is parallel to the stage. And so when you come out, engage with them immediately, and you can start talking as soon as they see you. There's nothing wrong with that.